you just went through the basic derivation of equations and pressure and so on in forging, and the three general equations from material science for the plastic region in cold working and in hot working for any operation of forging or extrusion or something. In forging now, just think that this is the piece of the material. This is the piece of the material. This is the 2D view, of course. This is the 3D view. And you are applying pressure from the top, from a die, and there is pressure from the bottom piece of the die, because this is fixed. So when you apply pressure there, there is a reaction there. So in 2D, if this is the central axis, then this is the total width A, right? This is the total height H from the beginning, and you are measuring the distance X from here. So in the middle, there is this maximum pressure, right? The equation was there, this E raised to 2 mu A upon H, P upon Y dash, right? So in the middle, there is maximum pressure, and as you move away, right, the pressure is decreasing, and the pressure is lowest at the end. But there is some pressure here also. So this is the pressure curve. And it is exactly mirror opposite on the other side, because, right, it is exactly symmetrical piece. So it is there, right? Zero pressure here, and say pressure is 1 here, and then it increases. Of course, if you are taking a 3D view, so in that front side, this is the pressure diagram. In this side, this is the pressure diagram, and so on. So this will be the 3D figure of the pressure distribution over the whole bulk of the material, Now what they are doing here, rather than drawing pressure, they are doing P upon Y. This we have shown you earlier in material science in different chapters, that we are non-dimensionalizing the number. Pressure P has the units of megapascal or pascal. Y, the flow stress, has the units of pascal, megapascal. So if you are drawing pressure, then there is this unit here, the pressure unit on one side, and on the other side there is the distance unit or the area unit, and so on, right? So as we know that this is a stress, this is a strain. A stress unit is megapascal, pascal. A strain unit is meter per meter. But if you divide P upon Y, you just get a number. The dimension gets cancelled out. So now this is a dimension-free diagram. So this technique is done many times, that you see pressure is there. If you divide it by Y dash is a constant number, nothing much will happen. The shape of the diagram will remain exactly the same. Later on, whenever you want to find the exact value, whatever is the value here, multiplied by Y dash, you get pressure. So that we can always do, right? So this is a general die pressure distribution, that in the central axis, the pressure will be maximum and it will keep on reducing. So this is the pressure that is applied by the die, and it is the same as sigma Y. Remember, the internal stress felt by the material. So whether you say it is the pressure applied by the, or you say it is the stress generated in the material that is being forged. So whether it is a small p or it is sigma Y, it will be the same, and this is the distribution. Average pressure. You see, we just showed you that pressure in the middle is high, and as you go towards the end of the slab, then the pressure reduces. But then it will be very tough, that you see pressure at different points is different. It is just like a stress, if you remember. If you remember when you were doing a stress for the first time, then a stress on the whole surface of the material is slightly varying. So you take the average stress over the whole surface, and then you solve everything based on that average stress, and then you even forget to call it average stress. You just say this is the stress, but actually the top surface of the material is a round circle or it is a rectangle, and stress slightly varies at different points. It cannot be 100% the same everywhere. So you take the average stress, but then you say that stress is force divided by area. The force is not a single force. This is a distributed force over the whole area. right? So here also, if you come back, then this pressure is varying over the surface of the material, over the surface of the material, right? There is a material, there is a surface, and you are pressurizing with the die, but the die has maximum force in the middle, and then that force decreases as you go towards the rest of the material which is flowing out. So therefore you define an average pressure rather than maximum, medium, this, that, average pressure. So the equation for that average pressure is this, very important. It is roughly equal to this, but it is almost 99% right. Y dash, you understand, it is y 1 plus mu A upon H. A is the half width, H is the height, and this is the average pressure. If it is the pressure and you want to find the force, then you just multiply it by the area. So P average multiplied by 2A. Remember, A is the half width. 2A multiplied by the width, right? Whatever is the width. We were taking the width to be equal to 1 for calculations. But if you are actually finding it in reality, then P average find from there, 2A you know, and multiplied by the width. So 2A into the width is the area on which the pressure is applying, and then you have the force, right? So now you can do any calculations on forging, where you can find the average pressure that is applied by the die and the force that is generated due to forging, right? So this is important. Again, as I say, I am seriously against the word memorizing. I keep on telling you, all the formulas will be given in a formula sheet. It is already uploaded on the Moodle workspace and so on. You can always use it during any quiz, any exam, and so on. So you do not have to memorize any of the equations. What is critically important is that you understand how it is done and that you understand which equation is to be used where, right? So as we go with the examples and so on, please pay a lot of attention so that you understand what we are doing. And I am always very, very, very sure that if you are an intelligent person, which you definitely are, and you have been covering the previous lectures very well, so you know the previous material, and then you apply it during one example, during two examples with a very open and sharp mind and questioning mind, then even one or two good examples are more than enough. Then the others are just for practice. Here we are showing you this diagram. You see that this is the original contact area, which the 2D view of the original material. Then we forge it, we apply the pressure, it changes to this size. We further apply pressure, it changes to this size, right? So if you see here, we are saying after first reduction, and here we are saying after second reduction. So let me explain to you. I mean, this is done not only here, but in other places as well. I will remind you of your material science labs. One of the experiments that you did, we gave you, a flat piece of brass. One group took it to the workshop, to the rolling machine. You made it push through the rolling machine. Rolling was done, its thickness was reduced. So say its thickness was reduced by about 10-15%. Then the same piece was taken by another group and they again rolled it, again by 10-15% and so on. And it was rolled 2 times, 3 times, 4 times and so on. So, right? So the total reduction is maybe 40% thickness reduction. But we did it in 3 or 4 steps. Why do we do that? If we try to do all the 40% reduction in thickness in one time, then we will have to apply so much force that maybe some tools break, maybe in the material there are some cracks and so on. So to reduce that effect, we do the same operation in 1 or 2 steps. So in forging also here, in forging, suppose there is a piece of 5-inch thickness and we have to reduce it to 2.5-inch thickness. Now if we do it in one time, then by the upper press, by forging press, we have to apply so much force that things may break. So we do one time about 20-25%, then we do another time about 20-25%. So what we are showing here is that this is the original height. Then after first reduction, we do forging in one step, it becomes this. Then after second reduction, we do forging like this and so forth. So sometimes we do it in steps to avoid huge pressures and the chance of breaking and so on. Now, you see, that was assuming the previous one that we have a cylindrical slab, a rectangular slab, right? A thick piece, maybe starting from a cube and so on. But many times we will do forging on round pieces. We have a thick cylinder and then we do forging on it and so forth. So if it is a round piece, right, then this whole round disc is there. Isn't it? And we are cutting this one pizza slice from it, isn't it? This one pizza slice from it. So this is again one slab, but because it is round, so from the center you are taking it like this conical shape, right? A pizza slice. So if this is one whole round disc, you are cutting this out. This is the center. So this is the radius. This is the radius. This is the radius, isn't it? This is the height. So the height remains the height. And here in the middle, you take that small piece dx. So you are measuring this distance x, and this piece is dx, isn't it? And this angle is some eta nu, some angle is there. So again, when you cut this slab out, only this dark piece, then it looks like this. You've cut this slab out. Now you know that when it is a round piece, then rather than doing x, y, z axes, if you do the cylindrical or polar version of r and theta, then it is much easier to handle, right? So therefore, sigma r plus d sigma r, right? So this is sigma r plus d sigma r. This is sigma z, and this is this new direction, sigma nu and d sigma nu and so on. And of course, if this is sigma z and if mu is the coefficient of friction, then the friction force or the shear force here is mu sigma z, right? So again, I am showing this to you to give you an idea that if you go exactly particularly into this area, or you take a higher course in this and you have to do the mathematical treatment and so on, then you know from where it is derived. But I am not interested here in deriving this very well. I will directly go to the equations that come from here, and then can we apply that equation correctly. But you see, when you do take a finite element package, finite element software like ANSYS or Abacus or something like that, then you do the geometry exactly correctly, you apply the forces, and then the package directly finds the stresses and the strains and the deformations. But at the background, these equations are there. I mean, if it is a rolling operation, if it is a forging operation, then in the background, inside the software, those mathematical equations are there. Otherwise, how are they doing the calculations? So therefore, it is important to understand. So I am showing you, right, stresses on an element in forging of a solid cylindrical workpiece between flat dies and with friction, right? So I am showing you this, but we will not go into complete derivations. But you know that once you do this, then in any one direction, do the equations of equilibrium, force equilibrium, and then you are done. So when you do those force equilibrium equations, then you will see that you can find pressure. Pressure is equal to y e raised to 2 mu r minus x upon h. H, you know, is the total height, r is the total radius, mu is the coefficient of friction, x is any location at which you are finding the pressure. X is any location at which you are finding the pressure, right? And y again is the flow stress. Y is the flow stress.